Hello and welcome to a docking video on board Superyacht Calypso 1. Here we are in Gocek in Turkey, and to be specific at the Asika Islands. We're going to use 2 bow anchors and 2 stern lines in order to secure the vessel. After establishing the safe positions of where we want to tie up the stern lines and also where we are going to put our anchors, we're going to position the vessel correctly. Then we're going to proceed forward and very carefully putting the bow in the right position, particularly in relation to the available depth. It's quite shallow ahead, as you can see. And I'm going to be looking to drop the anchors in roughly 3.5 to 4 meters of water and quite close to the shore. When I'm dropping my anchors, I really want to have at least 3 boat lengths of chain ahead of me, up to a limit of my chains, and depending on the depth. So I have about 210 meters of chain on each anchor, so I have plenty to do this maneuver, and I'm expecting to drop 4 shackles down, which is approximately 120 meters of chain. So once in my center of my desired position, I'm now going to move the boat over to starboard, and I'm going to drop the starboard anchor first. And the reason I'm dropping the starboard anchor, at this time the wind was very slightly on the starboard side, so I'm dropping the starboard or the upwind anchor first. But as you'll see from some of my comments on here, that during this procedure, the wind actually did change direction slightly and started to come from my port side. So I'm happy with the depth that we've got now. So I'm happy to push the boat over. I'm pushing the bow over to the starboard side in order that I can drop my anchor into a safe position. So during this manoeuvre, I'm using radar to measure myself from the shore. This is particularly important if I'm dropping my anchors a long way from the shore to make the best available fix to the shoreline. And the difficulty with that is that sometimes you might not have enough chain and then not enough line in order to get to the position. So I've just let go down now the starboard anchor. And once it's down, I'm getting my crew to pay out enough chain that I can then safely move across to port without dragging my anchor. I'm looking to move across at least 60 meters here. And I've also got 2 reasonably identifiable points, which are the little piece of land that stick out. So that helps me for visual navigation. If I was in open water here and backing up towards rocks, then what I would do is I would indicate a position on my ecdis of the exact time that I put the anchors down. So I mark that position. Just remember there is a offset, because that position will be from the actual sensor on the GPS rather than the position of the boat. So you just need to be aware of that. So I'm walking the boat across here, and in order to walk the boat across, what I'm using is a combination of a little bit of my bow thruster, pushing myself over to port, but also, importantly, port ahead and starboard astern with full rudder to starboard. And this gives me an incredible manoeuvring effect to be able to push my boat over. So once I'm in the right position, I'm going to let go on the port anchor, and then I'm going to start to move the boat across back to starboard. As I said, the wind had changed direction a little bit here now, so Now with the wind now coming from the port, which wasn't ideal, having a little bit of change in it during the manoeuvre, I didn't come back to a full central position. I stayed a little bit more on the port side. So I corrected a little bit, and as you bring the boat across, so after you coming across more to starboard here, you do need to collect a little bit of the starboard chain, otherwise the port chain and the starboard chain can cross, and if it's possible for them to cross, I'm sure that you'll get a wrap, and when that happens, it's quite difficult to get undone, and also, of course, you're not secure. So most importantly, when the second anchor is dropped, the boat is absolutely stationary, and this is again so if there's any movement or any slack, then you can accidentally drop the port anchor through the starboard anchor if there's any slack there. So it needs to be stationary, a little bit of tension on the starboard anchor, so that the port anchor is free to go down to the seabed without going through the port chain, through the starboard chain. So sometimes I have to take a little bit of the tension up on the starboard anchor here in order just to make sure that I'm not letting one peg through the other. But once I'm happy, I'm going to start manoeuvring backwards, going in the stern towards the final objective. So as I'm making my final approach, I'm going to get a safe distance from the shore, and I'm going to make sure that my chains are slack, so that when I come off the engines, that the boat is not going to suddenly get pulled forward, because I'm going to deploy a swimmer, taking with him a floating line. So it's important that I don't have any forward motion on the vessel, otherwise he's going to get pulled away from the shore as he's trying to swim in with the line. It is a lightweight line, but it is sufficient for us to secure, certainly for a daytime anchorage. So as a safety point, I ensure that I tell the swimmer when they can go ashore, and not until. And at that point, I have no engines running, no propulsion, and no thrusters, so he can swim safely to shore. This can, of course, be also done by tender, and you'll see on some of my other videos that where some boats are using a tender, but we have quite an expensive tender. This beach is actually stone, so I don't want to put my tender ashore, so using a swimmer with shoes on is much easier. If the boat does start to creep forward, and once he's in a safe position, I can use a little bit more astern and pay out a little bit more chain, because obviously I had a little bit too much weight in the chain. It just pulled us forward a little bit here. Once the line is secure, I'm going to back up just a little bit to give as much slack on the line as possible so the deck crew can take in the tension, and once I'm in the desired position they can secure it, and then I can then get the second line deployed on my starboard quarter. Once the second line is ashore, we can make that fast and making sure we're taking up any slack, and then my deck crew on the bow can pull up on the anchor chain just sufficiently to give sufficient tension so that we are not going to go further aft. Be careful here not to pull too hard. Anchor equipment can be very strong. We don't want to pull the anchors through the mud and drag our anchors. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. There's going to be lots of videos very similar to this. There's another one that's is currently on YouTube concerning the docking in Saint-Tropez into a very tight dock, and I hope you enjoy these videos. Thank you.